Welcome, everybody. This is Zenzi and Luna, Turning Everything to Gold podcast. We have a fun kind of discussion today. This is going to be the first one that we're doing on Zoom. So we're going to start doing some more of these. And I don't know, this is kind of nice to be able to do it in this way too, instead of sitting in the studio recording. But today's podcast is going to be about being misunderstood, the loss of family, friends, and the journey of being a light worker. And we're going to share some stories today and just talk a little bit about this. So um, I want to begin today with saying that being a light worker and doing the work that Luna and I do is the most rewarding and filling, spiritually uplifting. Seeing people transform, helping people along their journey, supporting them in their healing journey, loving them along the way. Really allowing them and teaching them that they're the ultimate healer and coming into this place through the journey, because you really get to know people on a super deep level. But the journey of the light worker, again, this is not something that I really thought I would ever do. This is nothing I signed up to do. It was aligned for me to do. And it was really about sharing my joy and my happiness and my healing journey with others and how I got there that set me up on this path. And that can be very challenging. Working in this field, intuitive energy healing, intuitive work, especially when Luna, I know you'll be able to understand this too on a deep level with your family, when you're one way and you grow up one way, or you have a certain way that you operate, and then you really heal and you step into your power and you start doing things like intuitive work and energy healing, and it's a different way than you were, still using the love and the compassion and healing energy, but it kind of separates you from the way that you were. Family can really, particularly for me, not so much friends, but I would say family for me, because you can have loss of friends and loss of family, like meaning they leave your life, they fall away because you resonate at a different frequency, you're doing different things, or like we talked in another podcast, family can see you as evil or doing something wrong, or it doesn't align with their thoughts, values, the way they feel you should be, or religious thoughts, different things like this. And I know that I'm called to do this work. I know it is in my spirit. I've always been intuitive, but never really knew what that meant as a child. It was just a way. I never really labeled it or knew anything. I just knew things would happen or could feel things when people walked into the room, but it was just the way that I was. It wasn't until I got older that I realized, okay, this is empathic and intuitive and reading people's energy. And then I started, learning and growing in that, which developed into a healing practice, into an intuitive practice. But it all started with me doing my own inner work. We talked about this before, Luna, when we said like shadow work and going that, doing your deep healing. And so when we were said today was about the loss of family and friends, it's really when people judge or they're fearful of the work you're doing, or they do not understand it, or for example, your family has a religious view and there's a difference between religion and spirituality, or they feel very strongly in their opinion on religion that it looks exactly like this and this is the way it should look, and you look more like you're doing this, which is the totally opposite path. That sometimes it's the family drops away, or you have to lovingly, I love you unconditionally, completely understand, but I'm being called for a certain mission. I've got to follow that mission. And I have to close that door because it becomes so toxic, or people are like literally some of my family was afraid to be in the same room with me. like, like a, that is bizarre. They were with me my whole, obviously,
Life.
I don't understand. Like I'm like, and you don't want to be in the same room because but instead of asking questions, or instead of learning a little bit, because I understand, a not understanding and maybe a little bit of fear and concern. So come and talk, come ask questions, come instead of just closing the door to it and then gossiping and, judging and all these things, which just create more toxicity. So family, and this can happen with friends as well as we start to get on this path. I'm sure you've had experiences of that too. When you start doing this,
Yeah.
people just start to look at you like you've got eight heads. They think you're nuts. They
They look at you like that, and they also think, who does she think she is? Like, who she thinks she is? Oh, This is my favorite. Oh, you found God. Oh, okay. I was like, well, I never lost him. He didn't need to be found. And no, that's not what I'm saying. Or my favorite is, we know what you're really like because they know you from when you were in a lot of pain and when you were in a lot of suffering and when you were just trying to survive, and they think that that's who you are. And I've the last, it's going to be three, no, oh my gosh, 2 years, 3 years. That's been my experience from family and friends.
Well,
Like,
that's huge for you because you've worked in the same kind of industry and what you're doing for a long while. So you've really built some very strong relationships, and you know people know your past on a deep level. Even I think for a time, maybe you even worked with your mom for a while. So
yeah,
they got to know you on such a deep level. So your transformation when we started doing this was so, like I always said, it was so quick, and it was such a radical 180 in the other direction with all of your heart and energy into it, that especially the people you work with, because you spend a lot of time with the people we work with, all they're like family. And
yeah.
that was a mega change. So share some of your experience. I've had a lot more with family than I have friends, of family saying, "Ooh," and I want to go back to something that happened with my grandmother who actually reached out to me. But I want to ask, like, from your perspective, with being in a friend and a work environment, how is that for you? Because I know they make comments, but I know you've also brought the light in too, and more awareness. And
Yeah, the comments I will say have stopped to my face. Now they could still be saying it behind my back, which
yeah.
is totally fine. Like, I know that when I show up in the world, I am present. I am trying to have a great experience every day. I am grateful for everything that I have. I might not be happy with certain things, but I'm grateful for it. And so when I started with this whole like spiritual awakening, or whatever we're going to label it as, I don't even know what to call it, started because of a huge argument with my friends. And we just agreed on this topic. We just disagreed on a topic at work. And it was like social media, like, and I'm an older lady. I'm a lady. So I'm not in my 20s. I'm not a teenager. I'm not going on Facebook to fight with people. I'm not going on Facebook to act a fool. But that's what started happening. And I was just like, and like spouses were joining in on the argument. And um, my my best friend, who I still love, and I have to just send her support and love from afar, because all of these people that, kind of came and attacked me, which I will also say, I've always been like sensitive, especially when it comes to friendships, since as far back as I can remember. But I always felt like my friendship with my best friend was always really solid, and I still feel like it is. But the people that are around her that I was also friends with, never really friends, just kind of got along, went along to get along, go along to get along. So when all of this started happening and people started joining, and there's one person in particular who, it's so funny, a picture randomly showed up on my phone the other day of my friend's gender announcement, and she was in the picture and kind of in between myself and my friend. And I was like, that's interesting, because the gender reveal happened about a year and a half before the situation. And when we went to take that picture and she got in between us, I was like, what are you doing? So anyways, there's this whole thing, and they kind of like took her side because they all were in agreement, and that was the side that they were taking.
this was just an argument at work, nothing to do with spirituality or anything
No,
like that.
nothing to do with spirituality. It
You
was
haven't
just,
started on this path.
but I hadn't even started. I had reached out to you to book a session because I was like, oh, I did this chakra alignment about a year and a half ago, and I kind of like want to see what else is going. A girl from a separate person from work had come to you and said, you have to meet this woman. Like three people were like, you have to meet her. So I'd already set that up with you, but I hadn't really started anything. I hadn't been to a class. I hadn't been to anything. And this whole situation kicked off. And I was just like, I don't know what is happening here, but I just know that these people are not my friends. These people are definitely, definitely not my friends. And
And you have worked
now
with them already for
years,
years.
over a decade,
Okay, over.
some 15 years.
Mhm.
The girl that went after me the hardest, I had only known her for probably about 5 years. Weren't super close because she doesn't live in this area anymore. She had moved during the pandemic across the country, but she would come every couple of months. And when I realized, after that first, maybe it might have been the second session that we did together in March, you said, you, a lot of things are going to fall away. A lot of relationships are going to fall away, friendships. And like, I know that the look on my face was like, oh my God. And
Mhm.
you were like, I'm not
I
saying that
remember.
that's going to happen. I just remember you being like you delivering the information and just immediately feeling my reaction and being like, oh, yeah, no, no, no. But I remember I very clearly, and when I think about my friendships, I think about that moment when it was like, you told me that this would be happening. And I thought, oh, okay, it's not going to happen. And then probably that would have been the end of March. About 2 weeks later was my friend's birthday. And typically we would go out for dinner or do something fun. One year she did like goat yoga and then like a bar crawl or something. Her birthday was always a big celebration within the friend group. And I saw all of these people on Facebook, and I was not even invited. I was not even a thought because this other girl was there. And I was just like, these people, it was confirmed. Like, these people are not my friends. Like, this is over. And I didn't even try to,
It's difficult. I want to say, and I was saying, thinking about back in the session when somebody, when you get on this, things start opening and you start, becoming more aware and doing healing, and it's not easy because 5 years
yeah.
is a long time that's a, that's a long time, I think, to have a.
And these people did see me through probably the most difficult years of my life, and they were there for me. And I have to give them that respect of, when I needed people to be there for me, they were there. And I just found a book the other day, and the bookmarker in it was a card that they had all signed because I had lost my job for about 3 months, and they took up a collection, and I mean, it was quite substantial. And they had wrote all these beautiful things in the card, and it was so lovely. And they were good to me. But when the friendships kind of ended in the way that it ended was really, really bad. But now I'm grateful that I had the forewarning, because had it just ended and 2 weeks later I had seen that on Facebook, I would have been devastated. And I was just like, no, that's what's supposed to happen. Like, that's Zenzi said it was going to happen. That's what happened. Like, it was totally okay. And I'm still friendly with them, and I don't think I've been in a social situation with them in a very, very long time. But we're still, friendly. And my really good friend, who's my best friend, I still love her so much. I have a hard time expressing that now because I do still feel a little bit hurt about everything, but she is so supportive of me, and she knows that I'm supportive of her. Whatever she wants to do,
Mhm.
yes, do it. I'm always the type of person for her that's like, yeah, of course, do that. And she is the same way with me. So it's just not a close friendship.
Mhm.
But everyone else, the other 20 people are gone. But you know what? The beauty of that is new friendships have come in, and friendships that I might not have been open to have come in. And so when something goes, something better sometimes comes and takes its place. And I feel like my friendships now are more authentic. They're not based on, because my friendships typically were, you know, making people pleasing,
Okay.
and being supportive of other people, and agreeing with them even when I disagreed. I mean,
I think the story the story personal story and journey going as a light worker too, and you start to have awareness and you start on this journey, it's just part of the journey. It can be a lonely journey as you're going through healing and doing the transition and really kind of cleaning out the darkness and focusing on the shadow work and the things you need to do, and then having awareness of, oh, maybe this relationship isn't serving me to the fullest, or maybe I'm not it's not really an equal space, and you can
mhm,
start to see that with friends and with family, but it may not happen to everyone, but I would say when you start to go on a journey of self-discovery, especially as a light worker, and it's
mhm,
very new and people have known you for so long, it can be very confusing. And
mhm,
unless someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I feel this way, I have questions," or "This is different," or "I'm not sure how I feel about this," or I'm very focused on this kind of religious path, and this feels like it's the opposite of what it's almost like I'm scared of this now. So um, that is I would say when it comes to friends, you have people now where that maybe that place where you are, those people have shifted, and the people that are in your life now, even though that took them a little bit for you to get
yeah,
into the work you're doing, now they're coming into you and they want they want help. They want to talk to
yeah,
you. Can you give me information? Can you assist me? Because you know them and that can be different too when you're on a when you're other people are so close to you doing that type of work. But it's they're more open to it, and you have shifted to where you're bringing in that light. You're bringing in
mhm.
that awareness, and I know it can be different, but like you said, the new set of people will come in because you're higher, just a different vibration. And that's the attraction because we're all like this energetic magnet. So you're attracting people more at
I'm
that.
attracting.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I will say, if you try and go on this journey, the self-discovery journey, and keep the friends that you have, that 100% you have to do what is best for you. But for me, I would have found myself around people that were like, why are you doing that? Like, if it doesn't feel good and you're crying and you're getting there, especially when I was doing the shadow work, that was a rough summer. And I had people around me that were supportive of it,
Mhm.
didn't understand it, and told me, here, have a drink. This will make you feel better. Or here, have some marijuana, or here, let's go out to eat, and use all these other vices to kind of cope with those feelings instead of feeling it, getting through it, working on it. I don't think I would have been. I think that's why it was so quick. It
Mhm.
was because I was just able to just cut everything off and be like, okay, these people, not that they're not my friends, but I'm going, and I invited my husband on the journey because we were we love each other. And I said, I'm going on this journey. If you want, please come with me. If you don't, you're going to get left behind. But you can't take everyone on the journey,
Mhm.
especially when it's for yourself.
Yeah.
And so when those people, and they may come back, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because when you start showing how you've healed, other people start seeing that. And then for the most part, there's something in them that wants to shift.
Mhm.
And when they're ready to shift, then they'll come back. That has been an experience of the last 6 months
Yeah.
where people that I haven't been are like, can you please tell me about this? They're asking me about angel number. They're asking me about
Yeah.
this kind of stuff.
They
Yeah.
can see the happiness. They can see that you don't operate in the rage anymore. And maybe the vices that maybe once did help or did smooth things over, that was more like maybe a band-aid. You're like, no, I really want to get to this place of cleaning this out. And so
Yeah.
that I'm just not going to do that type. I really want to get to the depth of what that is. And now you're bringing light, and they can see when maybe once you were triggered and it would take you to maybe a darker place or whatever it brought in, a rageful place.
Yeah.
Now
Rage.
rage. So, okay, very clear rage. And now it's more like no, we can get through this. And you see it from a calm space. And instead of the emotion overtaking you and controlling you, now you're controlling the situation and the emotion, and people can see that. And so sometimes it's you as the light worker planting a seed that may not be watered or focused on right now. That might take a year, 6 months,
It's
years.
like bamboo, 5 years to grow,
Yeah,
5 years.
before, and then it might just be a
And
little
then it
question.
flies. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it takes off fast. And
Mhm.
everybody is healing, everybody is, growing, everybody is processing in their own way, that there's no wrong. That's their advice for them, but maybe they'll get past that one day. That just doesn't fill that doesn't make it better anymore. Like it doesn't. I want something where I actually don't ever have to think of this again and feel the same way again. I want it completely cleared out.
None of this is working. I need something that works. And, drugs, alcohol. I still love a margarita. I still love to go to Arizona and get a pot brownie. But like I'm not using that where I was using that as a crutch to not feel anything
Mhm.
and kind of keep all of that stuff that needed to be suppressed down. And that was fueling the rage.
Mhm.
And so these people knew me as an easily triggered person that would really try to assassinate you with my words.
This
Like
is this
I
is
was trying to hurt you deeply as I felt hurt, And it was I just look at those, 30 years of my life and I just think, "Oh my God, what a nightmare to be." I'm surprised anyone married me. I'm surprised my children love me. It's just shocking.
It's amazing to see the transformation of everything, but doing this, being a light worker and being misunderstood while you're going through the healing process makes it sometimes more difficult. Probably does. It did for me with family, but you've got to make peace with being okay to be misunderstood. I'm okay with you not understanding. And as a matter of
Yep.
fact, I'm going to be sending you love and awareness. And that kind of carries me over for family in my experience with my grandmother. We didn't talk for a couple of years, very focused and religious, and I'm still religious and I'm still focused and I'm spiritual. I would say I'm still connected to God, and everything I do is through God. She didn't understand it, so we didn't talk. Got into a texting war with the whole family, all on the same thread of,
Oh, the rage text.
oh my goodness, all like, we're just worried about you. We're just and I said, kind of, you're like, you're doing the opposite of what you say you're following. You're actually gossiping about me and saying things without asking the question. You're operating from a space of fear instead of coming to me and questioning. You're talking behind my back, which is really the opposite of what you should be teaching and doing. At least that's what you follow. And that seems kind of hypocritical. And so as I got into this space, then I just, then it was, okay, I just need to close that door for my own heart, my own peace. And I know where I'm being called and led to do. I'm going to honor myself. And I walked that path. And so I kind of just gave this situation to God. I said, okay, God, I can't, I really want to be close to family. I felt like I was the matriarch. I would hold and host all the, family get-togethers, and it was just amazing, and it was for years and years and years. And as soon as I started doing the work, it shifted that quick to where no, nobody wanted to do that. It was just different. And then it became a battle, and then it became tension, and then it became judgment, and then gossiping, and I cannot stand that. And so I just had to close that door for a little bit. But after I let that go, the worry and the pain, I started focusing on what I needed to do for the work I was intending to help others with. Years later, my grandmother reached out to me and said, I'd love to go to lunch." And so I said, "Well, absolutely, I'd love to go to lunch. Where do you want to meet?" We met at Seasons 52 in Orlando. If anybody's ever been there, absolutely amazing.
Delicious.
Love it. And we met, and she started asking me questions. And she asked me questions about things, which I thought was amazing. And I knew as soon as I told her that everybody in the family would know, because that's kind of how it works. And so I said, okay, great, bring them all in. Instead of me talking to you and through it, just let's bring everybody. But it was her and I. It was fabulous. It was a healing experience. I remember walking outside to the car, and where I'm walking her to her car to get her in the car, and mine was parked a little bit away, and this lady had a bag, and she started walking up and she said, I need help. I need some money. I need some money. And my grandmother's like, shut the door. Shut the door. And I
Mm.
was outside, she's inside the car. And I said, okay. And I shut the door, and she rolled her window up and then cracked it like a quarter of an inch so she could hear the conversation, because the lady came right to where I was, which I had just shut her door and got her in the car. And she said, I need some help. This is going on. I need some money. And I said, okay, well, can you just tell me, like, what's happening? What are you going through? And she kind of stepped back and looked at me confused. And she said, well, do you really want to know? And I said, well, that's why I asked, because I really do want to know. Like,
Mhm.
please tell me, like, what's going on? Just I wanted to see what was happening. And she said, well, I'm going through some hard times. I'm trying to, I don't know, I can't remember, it was a long time ago. I'm trying to make my rent. I don't have food, this and that. And I said, okay. I said, I would love to help you. And so I was with her. I just got her in again. I parked. I still have my purse. I typically don't carry cash on me, but I had cash. I gave her what I had. And I said, I hope this helps. And if you want to talk more, I mean, like, I was like, we can talk
Yeah.
more. Maybe you need somebody to talk to. Maybe there's avenues you can go to and through. And she had this bag with her, and she opened this bag and she said, um, I actually want to give you your money back. I'm actually, none of that was true. And I have a bunch of shirts in here, and I'm actually working for God to see who will follow and give like we're supposed to. And it was very interesting. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding you. And she said, I would love to give you something. And I said, no, I don't need any shirt. I said, can you give this to your church or what? But she went through a whole spiel of she's trying to get people and then talk to them about God. That was and
That's wild.
my grandmother took like a $5 bill and pushed it through the half inch or the little quarter-inch slot through the window and said, you can give her this money when I was
Oh my
going to
God.
give the cash.
Mhm.
And I felt like
Mhm.
we finished the cut. She would not leave without giving me a shirt. So I said, I'm just going to donate it. I don't need this shirt. You can really give it to someone else. But she's like, I just can't. It's the you should say energy exchange. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
But it was the exchange of the experience. And so I took that and said bye to my grandmother. And I thought that was a very interesting interaction that happened from the whole, I'm not only want to get into the depths of it, but for somebody to come up and be talking about God and the work that I do and the way that that whole alignment with my family was so aligned with, no, it needs to look like this. But
Right.
I'm so afraid right now. So it was very interesting experience. It kind of was a confirmation for me. It felt like clear to me. I had a great conversation with her. We were texting back and forth, and then maybe a year or two later, we didn't talk much after that. But a year or two later, my grandmother called me and she said, I just want to let you know God came to me in my dream last night. This was a couple years after that. And I said, okay. And she said, I still don't understand 100% of what you do. I'm glad you're helping people. I know that you're helping people, but God came to me and put it on my heart that I need to ask for forgiveness for the judging and the gossiping and all of the things.
Wow.
And she said, and when God tells me what to do, I listen. And I said, okay, I understand. And it was a 7-minute conversation. Seven means completion, perfection.
Mhm.
And she said, I don't want to pass. She's elderly. She literally just passed a very few weeks ago. And she said, she said, I didn't want to pass from this world and not let you know that I am asking for forgiveness. And God told me to talk to you. And I love and support you, whether I understand what it is or not. And so I gave it to God years and years before and just said, I can't, this is so much pressure when I know in my heart and spirit I'm doing the right thing. You know who I'm working for. So I just got to let this go. And so sometimes even being misunderstood, you have to just close that door. You have to shut the door and then let it be what it's going to be. And it took a while. My dad did the same thing. My dad's like, oh, you talk about this and you talk about this, but I see, crystals in your room and all of these things. And I said, did you notice that in the Bible, they talk about the crystals that are worn in the
Yes.
breastplate? Did you know that the crystals are actually in the Bible? And how do you know if I have a crystal in my house? Why do you think I'm worshiping the crystal? Where is this coming into your mind that a crystal means worshiping? I said, I just don't understand. So it's just a lack.
I don't understand that either. I never understood it.
Well, there can't now. There can be a way to miss
Yes.
things. There can be a way to manipulate and do things, but isn't that with everything, even religion?
But also, when people have known you for years and years and years, how could they even think that? Like, you know who I am. Like, especially a parent, because again, I have issues with my mother, but especially parents, I don't understand that. I just, it really boggles my mind.
Well, and just a quick story of that. I just a quick story because I think we have a few minutes left. I just for my dad, again, I did the same thing. My mom was like, "Can you please just come talk and explain to my dad or explain to dad?" I said, I already have. He doesn't want to hear what I have to say. He's not ready to understand it. And I said, so again, I'm letting this go. And she can't let it go. But I said, I can easily let it go because I've got a different view. And so when he's ready and when it aligns, he'll come talk to me. And then one day my mom called and she said, your dad is in severe pain. He can't walk. He's got a problem with his calf. I don't have pain in his calf. And she said, will you come do a session? And I said, Dad is not gonna want me to come and do a session for him. And I said, I know you're trying to find avenues to heal.
Yeah.
She goes, no, he's asking if you will, because it can help
Wow.
with stress relief, relaxation, and pain. Can you come? And that was an hour away. And I'm like, yep, I sure will. I'll pack everything right now. I'm gonna bring my crystals. I'm gonna bring my table, and we're gonna set up in the living room, and we're gonna do a session. So I started. He could barely walk. It was actually pretty sad to see, and he was in a lot of pain. And he gets up on the table and he goes, "I can't even lay here comfortably." So I got him set with pillows, and we started doing the session. And sometimes when you're doing intuitive energy healing, the body will go back to homeostasis anyway. But sometimes to get back to that place of balance and homeostasis, the body will have to go to sleep. Spirit is always awake and engaged, but the
Mhm.
body has to go to a state of deep meditation or rest. And immediately, probably after the first 10 or 15 minutes, he fell asleep, which was needed. But in the beginning, when I started the session, I was speaking out loud and I said, do you mind if I set this intention? And what I said, um, he just started crying. He just started crying. And because he was healing, he was crying from the right side of his eye only. So you know that the right side is the
That's
male
like
side.
masculine.
It was him healing some trauma and things going on. I felt it going all the way back to his father. Didn't know all the things, but he ended up, of course, that opens up for him to be able to share. And found out things I had never known before, like kind of horrendous things. But this has all been trapped in the body. He said, why are the tears only coming from my right eye? And I said, because this is where right now we're working on layers, and this is the layer that we're working on going back generations through your dad, and this is your male. This is you're trying to work on the male energy and the heart and the strength and being able to talk. But he cried and cried and cried, fell asleep, and then he ended up when he came back, when I brought him out of the meditation, which he came right back. So he was asleep, but really he was in a deep state of meditation. When he came back, he got into a laughter fit. Just when I say laughter fit, 45 minutes of consistent love because he never laughs. It's always so serious, Why is it
Yeah.
but he's always like that, and so he just laughed and laughed. And I have the last 2 to 3 minute video because I said this is kind of crazy that you're laughing for this long. I've done sessions that's
Mhm.
never happened before, and I also know that deep laughter can also be releasing of trauma too, like deep
Mhm.
trauma. And so we let him go. But when the session was over, he got off the table and walked to the bathroom. And
That's
my
crazy.
mom looked at me. I have the video. I could maybe link the video, but she's like, he's walking. And I said, that this is not an all this is just where we are right now. You still need to go to the doctor and get your leg checked and everything, which she ended up doing. But that was healing for the family. But I had to give that and not worry about it. It took a long time, honestly. But
Yeah.
that day, now we have a relationship again.
And I will just say to close this conversation, I think we live in a world where you can get things immediately and, Amazon, you can order things and they can be at your door in 2 hours where you used to have to wait. And I think a lot of people think, well, just when I ask for it or when I say I need help, if I don't get it immediately or I give something up and, God, your will shall be done. And when it doesn't happen immediately or within a time frame that they're comfortable with, none of this works. This is all
Mhm.
ridiculous. And I just think when you just really live in the present moment and understand that everything is happening in divine timing, and the things that you're needing help with are going to be healed, cleared, whatever, in the right time, and you can just sit in that. I think that that's what people need to remember. God isn't Amazon. he's not he's not driving for Amazon, not this year.
So some things can be instantaneous, but when it deals with
The
other
healing
people, your
can be
will,
instantaneous, but what I'm saying is like the situation where you're like, I have to give this up, and it took years for,
years.
for that to come to fruition, right? The healing, once God is present, right, and we know this,
Mhm.
it's a miracle, it's miraculous.
Yeah.
So, but the waiting is where all the learning and the
And I wasn't angry. I was just like, it is what it's going to be. And I really truly let go of trying to worry about it, have conversations. It wasn't the right time. And I just
yeah,
let go of the reins. I let go and I let God, and it
yeah,
completely shifted. Took a
yeah,
while, but when it was amazing. And an amazing way that it was done as always.
yeah,
Mhm.
right on time.
This is awesome. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you.
Bye. Shoot, let's fluff my hair.
Welcome, everybody. This is Zenzi Luna, turning everything to gold. Today, we're going to talk about the power of words for good and bad, and don't mind the ruminations. So today, the power of speech. We talk about this a lot when we're doing intuitive energy healing, and we work a lot on the throat chakra. A lot of times when we're doing healing, clearing, balancing, a lot connects with the throat because this is our highest form of vibrational power. And this can be for good or for bad. If someone has I know a lot of people who say, well, I really don't want this to happen, or I'm worried this is going to happen, or I don't want and I'm saying, wow, you're really, and they have emotion connected to it. And that right there is just like you're a magnet either way. So then
Mhm.
you're going to begin to attract to you things that you're not wanting because that's what you're saying. I think that's really difficult because I even have times where I catch myself and I'm like, okay, what do I want? I really need to align with how I see it happening, even if it's difficult.
Yeah. I
I
mean, I think a lot of people say, a lot of people, when one bad thing happens, they're like, "Oh, I can't wait to see what's next. I can't wait to see what bad thing is going to happen next."
Mm.
Or, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Mhm.
Like it's going to drop. It's going to drop for sure, and it's not going to drop in a way that you are going to be happy with because first of all, you're saying it, and the energy that is aligned with what you're saying is very negative.
Yeah.
I used to be, I will say, I used to be one of those, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Everything is going good. Okay, well, when's it going to get bad? Because when I was raised like, don't get too excited about all the good things happening because something bad is coming to not destroy it, but to remind you,
Mm.
um, that you have no control. So I that was always my mantra was, don't get too happy about anything because what something's coming next. I work in an environment that is extremely toxic, and I will say because I do feel the need to be a little bit more authentic. I work, and I think I've said this before, I work for a major corporation in Central Florida for a theme park. I work in a restaurant. The nature of that working in restaurant work is very negative, and a lot of the servers that I work with, when they get a table, they walk in to the side station where we work and they say, "Well, that's a stiff," which is when the guest leaves you nothing. That's a stiff. Okay, and I just turn around and I say, "Don't come back in here and tell us when it's a stiff because we already know it is because you've already said it." And now your energy is aligning with that, and people can feel that energy. So you really have to be careful with what you say because everything we're told in the Bible that we have the power of life and death in our tongue. This is biblical. So you have to be careful with what you say because, and when you say things like that, and I've caught myself doing this recently when I say something, because sometimes you feed into that energy, right? And you're around it and it's so low vibrational and you just kind of drop into it. That cancel, cancel. That's what I say. Oh no, I didn't mean that. Cancel, cancel. And I just cancel that because it's very important because we all make mistakes, right? So you have to let the universe know I made a mistake. I'd like to cancel that.
Mhm.
So I really a lot lately, I I know that this is annoying to people, but I'm kind of like, the things that you say are going to happen, good and bad. And they're like, well, I want to win the lottery. I want to win Powerball tonight. I think Powerball is up to like $1 billion. I'm like, okay. How about if you said, I've won the Powerball? I've won it. We don't know what the Powerball is. Okay. The Powerball in life could be your spouse. The Powerball in life could be your children. The lottery in life that you win could be something else. It doesn't look exactly like the way you think it's going to look. And now I feel like I'm a tangent person. I'm going off on a tangent.
But no, it's a
But
road. Remember, what road are we taking right?
side road, we're on
Going
a
down
side
the
road.
side
But
road.
no, I just feel like in society today, it's become a very negative space to be in, and especially people that watch the news. I cannot stress this enough. If you're listening to this and you watch the news, please stop. You will see your life change in ways you cannot even imagine. The joy will return, the positivity will come back. Like, not right away. You got to give it a little bit. You got to detox from all that negative information that you're taking in. But that was, and I know I've said this on other podcasts with you, that was one of the biggest things was to taking out that stuff that's creating the ruminating thoughts that I am then repeating out into the universe that are then manifesting. I've told that story on here. I know I have about um, having the thought of my daughter getting hit by a semi, saying it. I believe I said it to my husband because she was driving a little Mini Cooper when she was 16, and it happening. It happened. It really, really happened. And when it happened, I wasn't even surprised. I was like, yeah, yeah, I knew it. I, and this is a thought for another day, but the intuition also told me that it was going to happen. Like I knew that it was going to happen. And specifically the day that it did happen, we had something planned that day that we didn't go to. And we should have gone to that. Hindsight is 2020. We should have gone to it. But back to the topic at hand, I I said it, I thought it, I said it, it happened. And that's if you look back on your life and you look back at the good and the bad things that have happened, it's a pattern.
Mhm.
So, and what we
Yeah,
know from
it
patterns
takes a
is
lot. It takes a lot to have awareness on every word that comes out of your mouth. And then that also goes to where are your thoughts? So we work with a lot of people too who are, just the thought keeps cycling and cycling and
circling.
cycling and cycling in the mind over and over and over. And I want to go back to what you said about the news. And you're like, well, I have some people who are like, well, I just keep the news on low and it's just in the
Yep.
background. Yeah, but you're hearing about the violence and the death, and you're not even watching it. But that is the energy that is in the whole of your house that's
That's the frequency.
which is voice and sound that you're listening to subconsciously, that you're hearing all these things. So, and it could just be something if you're listening to this and it's like, why, just as a test for yourself, your energy, your heart, your mind, your body, how you feel, maybe give yourself 21 days of trying to not listen to it. Not like you don't want to be aware, but just shifting it to test yourself of how does it feel to maybe replace this with beautiful piano music or
Hmm.
spa music in the background, especially if it's just something that's just playing back there, and it
Water,
or
the
just
sound of water.
so healing. It's so healing, and if you set that intention to change the vibration, to change the environmental energy that you're in, because sound is vibration, it's energy, depending on what you're connected to, just like your voice. I think that's a really good tool and something you can try and start with. Yes, you can. It's not like, oh, I can't watch the news. It's just to test it out to see how you feel in your body, in your mind. Like, how does it feel when you change your words? And then when you start to really have awareness, wow, I can kind of tell that I'm more negative. Maybe like my father is like that. Very just very negative. Well, this and this and this and this and this and this could happen. And I'm thinking, well, or none of that could happen. And
Or this and this and this and this and this could
yeah,
happen. It's like, why does it have to be here?
let's change it to a different and well, yeah, it's difficult to get out of that. I think it's a habit. So it takes time, it takes focus, but it makes such an immense impact. And I love that you said that you have the power of life and death in your tongue because it makes an immense impact on how you speak to yourself, how you speak to others, what you allow to come into your ears and what you allow to come into your home. It makes a huge difference, but I think it does take work. Especially if you're not used to doing that. And then you'll catch yourself. And nobody's perfect. I mean, it's like a constant awareness. But then when you start to really tune into, oh, I feel peace. I'm aligning with the words that I want because you have a powerful word, um joy. It could be, let's use that, and then you align with the emotion of joy,
Yep.
the manifesting tool. That is the power of that magnetic energy that's going to pull it into your life. And sometimes, especially when we're working on energy clearing, sometimes it's just to get you to a state of ease. You
Hmm.
can't really get to peace or joy yet. I just want to get, because there's so much going on, I just want to find a little bit of ease, and we start there. We start and meet you where you're at. So because there's a lot that happens. So it's little, so I'm saying is like little steps at a time. You're
Hmm.
like, you don't know what's happening in my life and all the trauma and all the things. Correct. But we can get there, but we have to align our exactly which I don't know that, but let's start on the path. Let's start
Right.
on the path of clearing this out. Anything, little things, big things. Like the news is such a good one. You know, and to start, because I work and I ask, okay, let's do a cleansing and we talk about what the fall, you clean, you have a fall clean, you have a spring clean and in your
Hmm.
house. How about an emotional and energetic environmental clean where it's the energy of the space? Try to do incense, something
Yeah.
maybe with lavender, something that brings it the energy of joy in, which would be like a citrus, lemon, something bright and fresh, and then put some really relaxing music on, maybe even, whatever resonates with you. I love piano, I love guitar, and I just like
Yeah.
no words, just beautiful sounds. And then
I love the sound of a river flowing.
you like the
Or,
water.
like you
Yeah,
can find on YouTube.
yes.
Sometimes a flute in the background's great, but that sound of the
Canyon
flowing
music.
water.
Or
Yeah, like it's
Carly.
frequency music I also love, but like, yeah, totally. But then sometimes you just really want to, that's another thing, you just really want to like sing and get that energy out that way. That is a way that I love to get energy out is to like sing. I was really channeling Celine Dion yesterday as I drove into my neighborhood. She has the best. Oh Holy Night by Celine Dion might be one of the best Christmas carols ever. Might possibly ever. And I was just like, I was really into it
I bet
yesterday.
you felt really, really good when
I did. I don't think my neighbors, because I have my sunroof open in the
you even
car.
have your neck moving when you said that.
Oh, it was, I was like, I'm sure the vein, in your neck, like everything. I was like singing with my whole body.
Yes.
Like I was like, and I was feeling like the music. So like sometimes you need to, in the morning when I'm in a low vibrational workspace, I just put my headphones in and I just sing. And two things happen. They leave me alone.
I bet.
They don't try to talk to me. And so I'm not taking in their negativity. And also, I feel amazing. I feel amazing and I look amazing. And like then everyone wants to come up and hug you. And I work with an energy vampire and she tries to come in and I'm like, no, no, okay, okay, okay. But yeah, so like you just using that throat chakra and like really being expressive because like we said in the throat chakra podcast, we talked about it's the chimney of the heart. So you have to express what your heart is saying. And if your heart is saying I'm not worthy. And I feel like when people say I'm not going to get a tip or I'm, this is 10% or whatever, there it's a feeling of unworthiness that they have in their heart
Mhm.
and they're expressing that. And then the universe is meeting them at that low frequency.
Or
And
they're
it, I,
up
I
with
see it.
expectations. This is your
Yeah,
expectation, so you're going to get what you're expecting. If your
exactly.
expectation is I'm going to get low, then you're going to get low because that is the way the universe works and aligns. And I
Yeah.
love that you're pulling in music because I know people are going to listen to this and say, how are you feeling emotionally? And then you connect to that song, whether it's sad or happy, and you feel like you're getting it out. You're like, this resonates with me, or this allows me to feel happy or get out this anger or whatever it is because it is the power of the voice and the emotions connected. That is the same with that's why energy clearing, like where is this connection that where you have this feeling unworthy, and then let's get to that, let's help and assist you in pulling that out from the roots so it's no longer there to connect and access your highest potential. And that's with everything in your life experience, partnerships, finances, anything that you are wanting. But
Hmm.
sometimes that takes healing, focused work. And really, like you were talking about,
Self-awareness, the
one-
self-awareness.
100.
Like people have zero self-awareness, zero. And my favorite thing to do with people that have no self-awareness, I really, it makes me feel good and it's in a productive and kind way is when people come at you with negativity or with anger or with all these low vibrational energies and you say I'm sorry what, like you didn't hear them and they have to take a moment and think about what they just said. 9 times out of 10 they won't say it again, and if they do say it again, you got a bigger issue than whatever you're mad at me about or whatever you're yelling at me about. But 9 times out of 10, they'll get that self awareness, but they just don't even have the self awareness that what they're saying is
Well,
rude, inappropriate,
you deal
whatever,
with this a lot at work where you have
all the
guests
time.
that come in and maybe, they unleash on you because they are feeling stressed or worried or whatever's going on. And then you are the recipient of that negative energy,
Yeah,
which is not for you to take because it doesn't have anything to do with you.
never.
But it's being dumped on you. And I'm sure a lot of servers can understand that as well, where you're like, you're trying to do a job here and you didn't
Anyone that has to
well,
work with the general public, that has to work with the general public on a daily basis, day in and day out, because there's such a lack of self-awareness and unconscious just wandering through life and not being present and self-centeredness as well, anyone. It's really it's an epidemic. It's an epidemic.
remember too that what you put out, what I want to say this. Maybe that's uncontrollable, but what's happening is whatever is inside is coming out. So if
Mhm.
you are angry, upset, and I'm not just talking about, I want to go back to energy work in general. Maybe
Mhm.
it's not just about it's a hot day and they haven't gotten what they needed. Maybe it's a lot deeper issue where
Oh
there's
yeah.
anger built up inside. And so this is what is coming out. And that's with everything in life. This is why intuitive energy healing, this is why clearing and balancing and working on yourself to really get rid of these things. And maybe you know where it came in, and maybe you don't. You just want to feel better. Rage, anger, resentment, bitterness, whatever it is. But when you're in an industry, I guess when you're working with the public, whatever's inside, sometimes you're
Mhm.
going to be the recipient of that, which really, isn't fair, isn't your fault. You haven't done anything. And so you just can see at first, I'm not going to take this personally, which can be difficult when you have somebody yelling in your face, right?
Can I
But
tell you?
please tell me. I can't imagine.
90% of no, not even 90, 99.9%. I will say that there's maybe two or three of us out of 100 servers where I work. 99.9% would come when they are greeted with that kind of energy, they take it on themselves. And I'm just like, what? And they
That
come and then they try to push it onto you. Like, because this is the way I was just treated. Now let me put that onto you and let me vocalize what just happened to me onto you. And don't you agree? And don't you feel? I go, why are you taking that personally? What? And then I referenced the book. Two books just came to my mind that I kind of, in another podcast, I want to talk about The Untethered Soul, because what you were talking about, and that was the thorn in the lion's paw, where there's something so deep in there that sometimes any little thing, and we'll just say it's on a nerve. And he writes about this in The Untethered Soul. I'm pointing to my bookshelf. He
I
writes
read
about
that
this.
book. I love it.
And he says any little thing can hit it, and automatically you're, off to the races, and you're visiting that on other people. And then the Four Agreements, that book changed how I operate in the world. The Four Agreements are: be impeccable with your word. That's the first agreement. Be impeccable with your word. So I've really,
I'm
I've,
listening. I'm
I,
listening.
fa-
I'm
I
listening.
fail. That's okay. I
Make
fail most days, but I'm a work in progress. Um, be impeccable with your word. So like swearing, saying negative things, being um, rude to people. So all of those things need to change. Don't take anything personally. What was the other one? Oh, I always forget this one.
We'll
This,
talk about it again too when we bring it up because I definitely want to I want to speak a little bit about books that really bring in, healing energy and awareness that might help somebody.
don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions. And then the last one was always do your best. But those two, be impeccable with your word, and don't take anything personally. And I say to people, I said, why are you taking that personally? I said, you have no idea what happened before they got here.
Mhm.
They're just have no awareness of what's going on, and they're taking it out on you. I said, give them a drink, let them get some food. And I mean like water, not alcohol.
Correct. Yeah.
Let them get some food in them, let them calm down, sit in the air conditioning, and just see if they change. And nine times out of 10, they will. But something out there happened and
Or
it
something
touched on something.
inside,
Well,
but
it touched on something inside. Like,
yes.
so something outside touched on something, somebody cut them in line. And then that reminds them of something from their childhood. And they just start spiraling because they have that trauma and that pain still in them, and it's trapped in there. And then they go out into the world, and the little things that seem like nothing to most
I just
people.
heard justice. I just heard
Yeah.
justice. Like, I know it, you're just talking about cutting line, and that might be just what's happening, but it could be a deeper wound. You're talking about, that's a thorn from a long time ago that's still
Yeah.
such a trigger and it's so sensitive. And it could be like, this has to do with justice. This is so much
Yeah, something
deeper
unfair
that
happened
has
to
nothing
me.
to do with
Yeah.
what's going
Yeah,
on.
like I worked really hard on something and then somebody else took credit for it, and now that wasn't fair and this isn't fair, and they can't even see that correlation.
Mhm.
That is happens a lot in society. And then we just go around, and I used to do it too. I just go around and I, try to make everybody else feel like I feel, because I haven't worked on my stuff. I haven't worked on myself. And I am noticing a lot more people that come in and they're like opening up to me. And I'm just like, I mean, I've shared this with you. I start telling them that I'm an energy healer, like I have a business and I'm an energy healer. And they're like, oh, what does that mean? And they want to know, tell me
I
more.
love the
And
curiosity. I love that.
the guests and other cast members. So, it's just like spreading stuff like this, doing podcasts, having conversations like this really like
Mm.
gets the message out that, all of this can be worked on and you don't have to live like this. You don't have to, and the overthinking stops. I used to be a huge overthinker, huge, even more so than I did earlier today when we were talking. But like that overthinking and just having the thought and then having a worse thought about that thought and then a worse thought and then a worse until
Exactly.
eventually someone's dead. It's like nobody died. The car won't start. It's like, how did we get to somebody's passed away from, my car won't start. But I work with people daily that they cycle like that. That is how they cycle. It is a lot of energy to be around, and it's hard to help everybody.
Like right now, and I know we're doing, but I feel like someone that is listening to this, I feel some heaviness in the heart on the left side, and almost like sadness. And I just want to say, if you're experiencing this or heaviness in the heart or something that, created this discomfort that you're working on, that to, I would invite you to set up a session, reach out and set up a session and see, experience how we're going to interview some people on who have never experienced energy work before, and then being able to offer an intuitive healing session and then come in and explain it so you can hear it from someone brand new. But that's how you get out there and test it. But I do feel heaviness in the heart. I do feel like a weight on the shoulder so left side is female side. So this could be someone who's, past in your life. I feel sadness. I'm feeling sadness and heaviness, like even as we're saying this. So if you've had someone pass, you're feeling heaviness in your heart, or you're listening to this right now and you're like, no, I understand exactly what you're saying. I have this sadness or this rage or this anger in me. And it comes out sometimes when in my relationships or even on people that I don't know, like I'm going to eat and this is coming out where it shouldn't. It's because it is like, it is the lid is on it so tight and it's time to release that to allow
Mhm.
everything to come out, to allow you to release this emotion, these things that don't serve you that are creating the discomfort. So you'll not have that pain in the paw anymore. It's not going to trigger you the same way. That's part of it. Like when we get back to these layers and we start peeling things back and we start assisting you because you are the ultimate healer. So we align this energy for you to be able to clear things that don't serve you, pain and hurt. Maybe you know exactly what it is. Maybe it just feels like I want to feel better. And when I'm talking to somebody, and I feel a lot going on with relationship right now.
Mhm.
Well, we're in the holiday season too. So this is also a time when families come together.
You're coming together and you're with that aunt or that grandmother or that mother or father or whoever, and this is how they are.
Yes.
And you don't want to be that, right?
I don't want to be
Mhm.
angry anymore. I don't want to carry this anger anymore. I want to be able to be in your presence and not feel this anger or let it come out in this way. So I
Yep.
just want to share, connect and see, try it, because definitely energy, and especially intuitive energy healing and working like we do with the rich healing, the body, mind, and spirit. And I know those who are listening to this aren't going to see, but it's the triangle. It's the point. I'm like, it's the triangle. It's the body, mind, and spirit. Those make the connection for true healing and wellness. So yeah, I just want to say that because I think it's so important. I want to say too, for those who are receiving this and being and hearing, I'm getting a rageful client in front of me. I didn't do anything. To how do we do that? First of all, do not take it personal, and you can
Never.
always go back with say, are you okay? Are you, because you're not saying, wow, I can't believe you just did that to me. I can't believe you responded to me, because automatically you're using your words to take that in, and then you're taking that anger that just came to you and you're sharing it with one of your coworkers.
Mhm.
Oh wow, this has nothing to do with me. Are you okay? Not you, you see what I mean? Just a little bit of shift
I
in.
do that all the time now at work, and people find that so odd. I'll ask them, I'll give them a minute, I'll take their drink order, I'll come back and I'll be like, is everything okay? And then they'll tell me, they'll really tell me what the problem is. And I'll
Wow.
be like, okay, we can, whatever has happened. And I always tell this to people at work, and it's a little bit morbid, but it's the God's honest truth. As long as no one has died, it can be fixed. As long as we can't fix someone dying, we can fix that, you lost your autograph book. That's an easy fix. I can fix that. We can fix that your child lost their shoes somewhere. We can go get you a pair of shoes for your kid. Like we can fix it. And I understand that you're upset about it and that's okay, but everything can be fixed. So just take a breath and just use your words. That's what we tell children to do, right? Use your words. And I see so many adult temper tantrums, every single day that I'm just like, take a breath, think about what you want to say, and then use the words that you want to say. I'm really upset. Hi, how are you today? We're good. Okay. I'm really upset because we waited 20 minutes past our reservation. I can fix that for you. I'm going to go get you a fast pass. Those 20 minutes you lost waiting, I'm going to make that back up. You don't have to wait to get in line on a ride. I can fix that. Just tell me. If you tell
I
me, I
love
can fix
that
it.
though, because you're giving you, I love that because not only are you not taking it personally, and you're not allowing that negative energy to come in that you're definitely not going to share and put on somebody else,
No.
but you are allowing and especially in the environment you are that say no, we can fix this. And in that environment that you're in, you can give doorways where automatically just that experience you can shift it just like that,
Yeah.
but you're opening up to ask questions because you're not taking it personally, you're not getting angry or offended, to allow that to happen, and then you can shift it in a really good way. So that I love that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just
So I think using our words at all times positively is really the direction I would like to see our society go in. I know that that's a lofty goal.
prayers for positive words for everybody. I mean, it can be
Prayers for optimism and peace.
it is very difficult when you've gone through, and I know we're talking on two different levels. We're talking in the environment that's happening right now, and then on a deeper level of, you know, trauma or wounding or, bitterness, resentment, whatever. This is like a deeper level of doing this when we're giving different ways, but your words help in both scenarios. The
Mhm.
power of intention, the power of prayer, making sure that you've got your armor on, that this is not, has nothing to do with you, and
Yeah,
being able to really, what, turn that situation to gold.
the
That's
gold.
really
Yeah.
what it's all about. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that.
It's always there. Like you can turn the worst experience. That is my favorite thing to do in life is turn somebody's really bad experience into something that they really feel happy about.
Mhm.
And 99% of the time, it doesn't take a lot of effort. You just have to listen to what they're saying and respond in a way that's kind and helpful and loving.
Mhm.
And the way that's kind, helpful, and loving is not anger, it's not rage, or I guess anger is the same thing. It's not, it's not being nasty. It's not gossiping about other people. It's not doing anything like that. It's about, meeting people where they are and helping them be more joyful. And that really starts with the energy that you put out there. And the way that we put out energy the most is through the things that we say, which start with our thoughts.
Love that. I
So
love that it's changing and turning everything into gold by, you know, love and compassion, listening, and then, sharing whatever needs to be shared from a place of love and concern and questioning.
not
Are
judgment.
okay? Some people need to, yeah, not judgment. They just need
Mhm.
to be seen. They need to be heard too, and they just need to get out how they feel. So when you open that door, so much healing, connection, clearing. I can clear it just because I have to share it. I know. I think we have just a minute, but before we wrap up, I just want to share one little story. I was speaking to somebody on the phone, and things were not going the right way, and their office really dropped the ball, and time limits, I mean, very challenging, not good, like really not good things will happen, and you don't know what's going on, very confusing. And so wasn't mean, but was very direct and said, why am I not, I don't know what's happening, but I hope I'm not paying for this because it's not
Mhm.
what it needs to, not mean, but direct and maybe a little
Yeah.
fiery, but, just very clear.
You're an Aries.
And I know I'm Aries, so a little bit fiery, but very clear. And then I was in his presence the next day, and I can energetically feel there was a little bit of block there. And
Mhm.
so the first thing I said, and I just because I could feel it, I said, I just look at him. I want you to look at me because he didn't want to look at me. And then I said, let me explain a little bit. And I'm sorry it may have gotten, I wasn't mean, but I just had, as soon as I did that,
You
and
have to be firm.
yes,
Sometimes you have to be firm.
yeah,
Yeah.
firm is okay.
Hmm. Respectfully.
Yes. Thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed listening. We will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.